Cool. Thanks, Hannah. It's great to have you here. I like that you're on these calls. Welcome, everybody. Let me know how you're doing in the chat today. Just want to get a little pulse check. See, some of you are requesting coaching, which is awesome. So Hannah will get that on the list. But yeah, I'd love to hear how you are. Love seeing your faces. Yanit says you're waking up. Totally. Yep, that's real. Well, glad you're here. Kelly, you're feeling triggered. That's real too. Yeah. Thanks for letting me know. Yeah. Anybody else feel like sharing in the chat? Bailey, you're tired. Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. Well, let's go ahead. Caroline, you said physically drained from processing. Yeah, that's real too. Let's go ahead and just pray, just as a way to center ourselves as a group and just bring some focus for this time so that your heart actually feels soft enough to let healing and love into it. So if you want to close your eyes, you can, but just make yourself comfortable. And I just want you to invite your body to be here in this moment, whatever that looks like or sounds like for you. Just give yourself permission to be right here instead of thinking about your to-do list or anything like that. So Father, we thank you for this opportunity to come together and to be real with each other and with ourselves and with you. Thank you for calming the seas. Yeah, I thank you for bringing clarity to what we're needing, what we're experiencing, what we're feeling. And I ask that there would be clarity spoken here today and wisdom spoken here. And I thank you for the ever dawning revelation that we have everything we need inside of us for this life. I just speak blessing over each of these hearts and permission and wonder. And we just thank you that you're here with us. In your name, amen. All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and get started with Bailey. Bailey, how you doing, girl?
Hi, Brie.
Hey.
Good to see you. I'm okay. Yeah, just something to bring. Yeah, so my question is, like, I'm wondering if I'm dramatizing, like, my pain. And yeah, like, I think I just realized that I might be doing that. And I can, like, give some examples, like, I don't know, just like in my relationship with Jesus, like, I feel like I kind of like create strife or like, I don't know, I'm having trouble with my words this morning. But yeah, like I have a hard time just choosing into like kind of like clean pain and not just like last night. Okay, so last night I went to this revival thing and it was like really weird and triggering and like I did not feel the presence of like Jesus and it was just like odd. And so like I feel like the mature part of me and like the like who's been learning and everything was like, oh, like I reached out for connection and like I didn't find it. I reached out for encounter with Jesus and I didn't find it, and like that's okay, and like it's not my fault, there's no shame, like it wasn't right, the right place, the right people. But then the like shame and like dramatizing comes in and I'm like, do I even know Jesus? Like, is like, am I just completely wrong? Like, was I just chasing Jesus and I shouldn't be? And like, am I just doing everything wrong? And like, just all this like self-doubt comes in. And it kind of is like the floor just like falls out from underneath me. So yeah, and I feel that just like a lot. yeah, I just kind of like live in this like underneath place of like everything is like dark and dramatic and like um kind of woe is me. And like last night this woman was praying over me and she was like saying that I had self-pity, and that like triggered shame in me. uh Not sure she was a very trustworthy person to like trust to like even speak into me or anything like that, but I was like, man. So I was like realizing, okay, this is kind of a real thing. Like I do kind of like live in this place of like strife and just like struggle. um yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. And I can relate to it a lot of, with day-to-day emotions changing and wait, do I know Jesus at all? Like totally. I love how you worded that. Not that I love that you're having this experience, but I could relate to it for sure in my own experience. So let me come back to your original question. Your original question was, am I dramatizing my pain?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're just wanting to figure out if that's what's happening?
um I'm kind of unclear of what I even want.
Okay.
I'm just noticing things and want, yeah, I guess I want to know what's really happening. Um, and I think too, like what I don't like is there's this like shame on top of it too, of like, oh, if I am dramatizing, it's like self-pity and like I'm doing something bad.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I'd say those are the two parts of like, am I dramatizing the pain and like why is there like shame? Um, I don't know. I'm having a hard time today connecting to.
Yeah, so let's say you are dramatizing the pain, and I don't know, like I don't have any measuring stick for you that determines that. I'm not here to do that, and I ultimately know that's not what you're asking. But let's say you are dramatizing your pain. What's the next emotion that pops up for you if you were to like go, oh my gosh, I am dramatizing my pain?
Yeah, I'd say like, oh, nothing I'm experiencing is real. I'd be like, oh, I'm just being dramatic, so the pain must not be real. Like, because I'm just making it into a drama. And yeah.
So when I hear that, I interpret that as ultimately a belief my feelings don't matter. Does that resonate or no?
Hmm. I think so. I have such a hard time like connecting to the deeper feelings.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Is there anything scary? Is there anything that feels scary about feeling emotions right now in this moment?
Um, Not consciously. I kind of look at as like at my emotions as like they're always on the other side of the door for me. Like, um, and I don't know when the door is gonna open or like what's gonna like let me get in there. I kind of live in like the numbness and then like um kind of dip into that place of like emotion
Mm-hmm.
and feeling sometimes, really unpredictably.
Mm-hmm.
So I just like don't I just like don't feel sometimes. Or there's
Mm-hmm.
like a layer of like disassociating from it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So if you were to just take a moment to quiet yourself and close your eyes and just kind of listen for a moment on what you're needing, I would love to just give you that space. And there's no right or wrong answer. And I'm not asking you to perform for me, okay?
I think I'm just feeling a lot of anxiety. Like, is what I'm doing okay? Like, am I doing this okay? Like, um, am I doing everything wrong? And I feel like emotion with that. I'm like, I'm scared that, like, because like I thought that I was feeling the pain, and then like I guess like two people kind of told me in a certain way that I was like dramatizing it. And I'm like, oh, I thought I was just feeling it. And now it's like, oh,
Mm.
I'm doing something bad. I thought that I was doing okay. Um, or like, I don't know, I talked to this girl last night about like trying to find Jesus, and like I think there was some truth in it, like that he's always with us and we don't have to chase him, but it made me feel like bad. Like that's what we were talking about. Made me feel bad that I like went out to seek him. Like it made me feel like I was just, I don't know, doing something bad, and I didn't make the right choice.
Mm.
And like I'm just like delusional if I like think that I like lately I've just had this feeling of like desperation, like I need Jesus to heal me, like because like they're just things too deep that humans can't really like what I need humans for is to connect to Jesus's presence. And then now I'm like, oh, was I just being dramatic? Like
Mm.
um and it does kind of hit that like, oh, I should just like shove those then, I guess. Those feelings of wanting to seek him and desperation, and since they're like dramatic.
Yeah, I'm hearing you. It's almost this sense of um, like in feeling disconnected from yourself, then it like casts labels on everything you're doing and seeking and asking. That's kind of what it sounds like. Does that feel accurate?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. When was the last time that you felt connected to yourself? Do you remember?
Well, I actually felt kind of connected to myself last night. Um, yeah. And then like, but on like a big level, and the reason I've been seeking Jesus so hard is because I had an encounter with him like a week ago where I was like, parts of me that were like fragmented like came together. Like he did something like
Mhm.
literally healed me of something. And like yeah, so
Yeah.
two-part answer. But last night I was feeling like connected to my emotions,
Yeah.
because I was like processing what happened at this like weird uh revival tent thing. Yeah.
So you felt connected to yourself after that experience.
Yeah, I did actually. Mhm.
Okay. What did that feel like to be connected to yourself?
It felt good. But I think my instinct was to like it wasn't valid until I like brought it to someone else. And then when I did, they kind of accidentally did not treat it with like they kind of like gave me their own opinions, instead of helping me process my own thoughts and feelings. Um, so yeah, that kind of disconnected me again.
It makes sense. I mean, that was when you said that statement just now, it didn't feel valid until I brought it to someone else. That's like a
It,
big realization.
yeah, that's a big guy that I've been
Yeah.
noticing.
Yeah. 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 Have you explored that at all yet?
um, I so like basically I'll like notice things in me, and then I'll just kind of look at them and be like, I have no idea why that's there. and like have no idea how to even like dig on it. So I've noticed it, but I don't know how to like, it feels like a shooting in the dark kind of thing. I'm like, why do I feel that way?
Yeah.
I have no
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah. Is that something you'd want to explore in an encounter with me right now?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. We'll
worth
just
a
see where it
shot.
goes. Worth a shot. That's right. Cool. So yeah, go ahead and close your eyes just for some focus.
I'm gonna take a drink of water real quick.
Okay. I love the flowers behind you. So
Thank
cute.
you.
Cool. Yeah, so just make yourself comfortable and the pressure is completely off. You don't have to get anywhere today. We're just exploring. So you can put your childlikeness on, okay?
Thanks.
Yeah. Just get to be curious. Yeah. And Jesus, would you show Bailey the version of herself that decided her thoughts weren't valid until they were brought to someone else? Where did that start?
Not really getting anything.
Okay. Okay.
I
Go
feel
ahead
like
and
my
put your
mind is kind of in the way.
okay. Go ahead and put your hand on your heart.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Bailey's heart, you're doing such a good job. And we don't need anything from you today. Yeah. Yeah. Bailey's heart, it's okay to be attached to Bailey. It's okay to connect to her. It's okay to connect to Holy Spirit. There's no rush to do so, but it's always an option for you to be connected. Yeah. And Bailey, I just want to hear some things that you love, some things about life, things you love to do, things you just love out in the world. I just love for you to start naming some of those.
I love bulldogs.
So good. I just want you to picture one right now, okay? I want you to feel what you feel when you see one in the park or on the street or whatever. Just let yourself feel that same feeling.
I feel like I can recall the feeling mentally, but my heart just feels like it has like cement in it.
Okay. Yeah, we're not gonna pressure it. You can totally recall it mentally. Yeah. And what's something else that comes to mind, something that you love?
That's hard. um,
What'd you say?
I said that's hard for some reason. Um,
Okay.
yeah, it's so hard to even
Okay.
think. Like, I'm thinking of things, but I'm like, I don't feel love towards them. Like, I feel so disconnected that I'm like, yeah, I think I like those things, but my heart is like, bleh.
Yeah. So that's a little homework I would love to give you if you want to do it. Of course, not homework with requirements, but just paying attention in the next week to things that you love and writing them down. But for right now, I want to actually invite you to speak to your heart since it feels like cement. We're just going to love on it right as it is. We're not going to break it up. We're not going to wish it was any different. We're just going to love it as is. Does that feel helpful right now?
I think it makes me angry.
Okay.
I'm angry that it is cement like.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't really feel that way. I don't really feel like I love it the way it is.
Okay. Okay. So what would you like to do?
I don't know, like I want to get connected, but I just like don't know how. I'm so frustrated.
Mhm. Who else feels frustrated when they can't get connected? I do. I totally do.
And I just feel like I come on these coaching calls and like I'm wanting to get connected, but I don't know how. So I feel like I have nothing to like give you to work with. And you're just like asking me questions and I'm just like, I don't know.
Okay. It's okay. It's
And
all
then I
right.
just feel like I wasted time. I'm feeling things.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's pretty brave to show up and not know exactly what you need and still ask for help. That's super tender. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I just like I want someone to like see me so well that they know what is happening and how to help me. And I keep
Mhm.
looking for that. And like
Mhm.
that's why I feel like I need Jesus. Cuz like
Mhm.
he's proven to me a couple times that he knows what I need and sees me and
Mhm.
yeah, anyway.
Mhm. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. It's like a little girl who wants somebody to help her in what she's feeling for sure. Yeah. Mm. Mm. I'm really proud of you for paying attention to the different shifts inside you while we've been interacting and how you just name it. You're like, okay, I'm feeling anger. It's important. It's important for paying attention. Yeah. Yeah. It's really good. Mm. What is something gentle you can do for yourself today?
I don't know. I think I kind of just want to cry.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you feel like you can let yourself? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just sad. Like, I'm sad that it's so hard to connect to myself and to God. And I just
Mhm.
want it so bad. And it just makes me really sad. And like
Mhm.
last night, I wanted to go connect with people and like it didn't happen. And like, I don't know, I'm just sad.
Yeah. Yeah. That's legit. Mm.
And then this like lady is like, you self-pity. I'm like, screw you. I like had asked her for a hug and she gave me this like terrible hug. I was feeling so sad and vulnerable and I was like being prayed for and she just like, ugh. It was just
Oh.
terrible.
Oh my gosh, terrible hugs are real. I love that you said that. Terrible hugs exist.
Yeah. She like looked at me like like I was being like self-pitying because I was like sad and vulnerable and like I've been in such a vulnerable open space and like I was just like I just want prayer and healing and connection and they're like actually like you have like a demon of self-pity and we need to like, cast it out. Da, da, da. I was like, oh my gosh. But that's just going away from the sadness into the like but yeah, I think what was under there was just like, yeah, it's just sad.
I have a thought, and I don't know if it's going to be offensive to your heart or not. So just
Okay.
let me know. But I feel like I want to invite you just to have a phrase for yourself today. And just anytime you're feeling blocked off, just put your hand on your heart and whisper, it's not going to be like this forever. Like stay with me, heart. I'm with you. It's not going to be like this forever. Does that feel helpful, or do you want to slap me right now?
I don't want to slap you. um I guess like um I'm just like, well, what will it be like?
Hmm, question.
Will
Yeah.
it be better? Or just a different kind of bad? Or like
Mm.
it well, I think for me that question I'm like, is which is a question I've been carrying is like, is connection possible? Like, can I be connected to me? I feel like everywhere I turn, I just get so discouraged, like about if connection is possible to like,
Mm.
especially to God. Um, yeah. But at the same time, I'm experiencing connection with him. So I don't know what the, like, yeah. I'm like experiencing connection and then at the same time feel like I'm not. I don't know. It's like,
Yeah.
will it be enough? Yeah.
Mm.
So I think that is what your question triggers. You're like, won't be like this forever. And I'm like, well, will it ever be enough?
Mm-hmm. Do you have a place you put all those questions? Like where you write them down and put them?
My head.
Ooh. Yeah. That sounds exhausting.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Would you like to find like a tangible place to put those thoughts?
Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe consider creating something to hold those thoughts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're doing a good job. And I know that it doesn't feel like it maybe right now because there's this lack of resolve. But man, you're in it. You're in it and you're tenacious. That's amazing. There's like this numbness you feel, except you're like, hang on, hang on. And you reach out for help again. So it's like, I hear you that the numbness feels really scary, but I also see this other element in your life, which is like, I keep leaning in, keep asking questions, keep showing up.
Yeah.
There's something about that that's really impressive.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I feel like my heart just breathed because, like, in the conversation I had last night, I feel like I got the message that my tenacity was actually codependency and desperation.
Mhm.
That it was bad. And like, me seeking all the support I've been seeking has been like codependent and bad, even though it's felt so good and healing. And has been like last night, I was able to process on my own because of all the support I've been getting in processing. Like, it's crazy. So, like, part of me knows that, like, I'm doing well and good, but there's, yeah, just that, like, self-doubt piece and, like, who, like, spirals and is like, yeah. Don't know if I'm, like, is everything I'm doing wrong? And I thought it was good. Yeah.
Totally. And like, it's awkward to grow, right?
What'd you say?
It's awkward to grow because you're like, I'm growing. Okay, this is great. And then you're like, is it great? Am I doing this right? Is it, like
Yeah.
it can be weird to walk in new things and be like, well, this is unfamiliar. Does that mean it's wrong? And just have the patience to wait it out and be in that. There's some, there's some awkwardness in that. Doesn't mean anything's wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're touching on a feeling that I've been having of it's like exposing. Like I imagine like a flower who's been like underground and it's like peeking its head up. It's like, I could get trampled on because now I'm exposed and like now I'm doing things my own way. And if I do things my own way, then I'll be seen. And if I'm seen, then I could be like criticized, punished, shut down, shamed, all the things.
Totally. It feels really risky. That's legit. I relate to you on that too. I think the more we taste of like living alive, the more we're like, well, I'd rather live open hearted and able to receive love than to just be closed off from everything.
Yeah. I just pray that that shame piece and that piece of like, um, yeah, I just hope that the shame can leave. Yeah, because I think a lot of really good things are happening, but shame is just a sticky guy.
But like, look how you could differentiate it from the other elements of what happened last night.
Yeah.
You almost say, oh, that part was shame. You recognize when it came. You recognize connecting with yourself after and going, oh, that was shame. That's a big deal.
Yeah. I'm experiencing so much growth from this program. It's actually insane. And the amount of work I've put in versus the amount of fruit I'm getting is actually kind of crazy. Like I mean, I keep leaning in and everything, but like it's not like I'm like studying the material every day, but I'll hear something once in this program and all of a sudden it's like fruit, 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 fruit. I'm like, what's happening? It's kind of crazy.
So fun.
Yeah.
So fun. Yeah. I love that. So good. So write down some of that fruit today. Not for me, not for anybody else, but for your heart that feels like a stone right now. Write out some of that fruit so your heart can see, hang on, there's some good stuff happening here.
Yeah. Yeah. My heart already feels less stone-like. Feels like it can breathe. It's like, okay, we're doing good.
Yeah.
That shame wants to come in and suffocate it.
Yeah.
All right.
You're getting it. You really are. You really are. I'm proud of you.
Thanks.
Okay. Keep me posted.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I think, is it Yanitza? Yes, Yanitza. You are next.
Hi. Can you hear me
Hello.
fine?
Yes, it's good to see you.
I know, I feel like it's been a while. Hi.
Yeah. Hi. What's up today?
My question, I don't know, I guess if it's like a question or what I'm looking for through it. I don't know if it's working through just an encounter or maybe figuring out where to go next, but I finished watching the program. I think I only have like a week left and I'll get kicked out. So I'm like waiting to see, but um I watched week 7 on codependency and I felt like the girl was talking my life, and then watched like week 8 and I was just like there's just so many things happening. So I was like really trying to ask myself like I just feel super hyper aware of all my actions and like feeling like am I doing this because I'm being codependent, or like am I looking for something out of this like this action, like validation, or am I doing this like to control them? And it's nice to have the awareness, but I think sometimes it's also making me like really question everything. And then I'm like trying to ask myself like where I'm operating like out of fear and like where it started. And I like come back to my parents' divorce because I've been trying to like have encounters, which has been a struggle, but it's like I keep coming back to like my parents' divorce. And like I have my sister pain from when my sister passed, and like thinking like, well, maybe I'm acting out of fear because I didn't let my fear be communicated to her, and then I feel guilt that that was fault, like why it happened. But then I know like the grief Paul talks about, usually like it's not that incident that like caused all these things. Like usually that just hyper like focuses on like things that were already there. And so I start going back further and it's like, okay, my parents like divorce, like feeling like if I felt like I just had to like control or like act out of getting validation, I guess, from them, or like I don't know, like I think about like the thought that I keep thinking is that like I knew I had to like I didn't have to. I made myself closed off so I could take care of my siblings and my mom because I felt like they weren't strong enough to do it themselves. And then I also think about how like I was like having this crazy encounter with God like 2-3 weeks ago maybe, and I felt very dissociated, and then I started to get like tender and I started to cry because I felt like I was trying to describe to someone how like I felt like life sometimes feels like a movie, like nothing feels real. And it's like all actions and situations like just feel like I feel so disconnected from my own life. Like I'm watching myself in this encounter or in this encounter, and I almost like don't care about the consequences of my actions because it's like this isn't real, or like it doesn't matter. Like it just seems like, well, what's it gonna play out to? So it seems so like lighthearted and not real. Um, and so then I was like, well, why do I do that? Like my whole life feeling like it's just this movie and all these situations. And I started thinking about my parents again. And like, I don't know if it's because when we first found out they were getting divorced, I remember like being super heartbroken. And then I remember them saying they were working through it. And like, we were like trying everything to like make dates and like little things like for my parents, for marriage. And then I found out from my sister like months later that they were lying, like my dad just lived there longer to like try to help us, but really
Wow.
like he's still going through the divorce, and then he ended up moving out. So I remember feeling like really betrayed, like they couldn't let us handle the truth, so they like lied. So then I don't know if that's like where I started to think like, well, everything is fake anyways, like all of the things like people do, it's not real, or like they're like, so then I don't know if I started to make it seem like life is just like some movie because I felt like I was just watching something that wasn't real. So it's like all these different things, and it's like I know a lot of it comes back to them, and I haven't really like in this program walked through a lot of like my parent pain, because I think I've kind of been more on the superficial level of pain, like things that really hurt, but like that really come deeper if I look at it. And so I'm like, I don't know where to start. And I'm like, don't know if I need to work through encounters with like my little girl when they went through their divorce. But I like try to sit there and look at her and I'm like she doesn't want anything to do with me. And not like because she doesn't like me, but I just feel like it's like she just doesn't want to go into that. Like almost like she's trying to shut the door on being in those moments. And then I'm like, okay, well, I don't know like what I'm feeling because I feel so many things. And I'm like, I don't want this to be somehow like subconsciously like weeded or netted throughout all of my decisions and relationships. So I'm just trying to figure out, I guess, where to start, like sorting and what the next steps to take.
Yeah. You mentioned your little girl and that she doesn't even want to look at you. How do you feel about her,
Uh,
honestly?
I mean, I feel like knowing how angry like she was and is, I guess, when I think about those times, like, and almost like she like I feel like I need to have more compassion and like love on her, but then it's like being in that moment, like trying to like have the encounter where I'm like standing with her, like in this argument that I'm like seeing. I'm just like, I just feel like she, like, I can stand there, but then it's like, that's it. Like, I don't know. I think she kind of just, I feel like she's just closed off, like, doesn't want to walk into it.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you known any children in your life? And have you experienced like a young child feeling closed off?
Um, yeah, I have nieces and like I've had a season where like my oldest niece like was going through some type of depression and like trying to talk to her and like her not wanting to really talk about like what she was feeling like she kind of talked about it, but I could tell she almost felt like forced, like she didn't want to have to get into it. And so it's like she was trying to talk about other things and like kind of just distract us from the conversation. So I kind of like let her have room to like know I was there for her, but like not make her feel like I took her out so she can like she has to talk to me about her problems. Like so like I've had experiences like that. And like even and I think like even in my past relationship, like that I had was dating someone I broke up with, and I think there's a lot of like times where I see his little boy versus like him.
Mhm.
When you're dating somebody, but it's like kind of feeling like I know that the inner child in him is so closed off and like that caused a lot of issues that we had, and like trying to like approach things like to talk in a compassionate way for that part of him, but I don't know if that makes sense.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. So you're curious where to start with parent pain.
Yeah, I like, yeah, because I just think I've been like aware of certain things, and then it's like kind of like how the last girl was mentioning, it's like, nah, I don't know what to do with it. And I'm like, well, it's all here and that's great. Like, cool, I see where all these problems came from. But I'm like, well, what now?
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Do you feel connected to the parent pain, or do you just feel like you recognize it from like a logical place, or are you feeling some of the things come up in daily life lately?
I think that I wasn't connected with it. And then like when I started to have that encounter where I was talking about like things being like a movie, like I just talked about it like so cold and like disconnected, like it wasn't a big thing. And then I all of a sudden like got this, I don't know if it was God or what, something just like struck me and I like started bawling.
Mhm.
And since then it's like I really started thinking about like all these situations. And so I feel more not necessarily as emotional, but maybe like more connected. And then I'm like thinking through like what am I supposed to do, I guess. Cause it's like I like don't think I harbor any bitterness towards my parents, but then I like look at my relationships with them and I'm like, I feel so disconnected from them too. Like I don't share with my dad like the intimate things happening in my life. Like he's usually the last person to know. Like when I was dating my ex, like he didn't find out until like 6 months after. Like he's usually always like that person I tell things later to. I don't even like talk to him about like the things that like are hard or like what are going on. Like there's a lot of like, I think, fear of his approval or like what he how he'll think, or like wanting to like make it seem like everything is fine in my life to him.
Mhm.
And like, okay, well, why do I act like that with my dad? Like it doesn't seem so like genuine at all.
Mhm.
With my mom, it's like she can know all the things going on, even like if they're hard for the most part, but I don't like the affection from her. Like I'm like, I just don't want you to be the comforter for me. Like
Mm.
hug me or like tell me, like try to talk to me and encourage me, or like I'm mindful about what I ask her for advice for, and it's usually like work, because we both work in the medical field. But it's like even then sometimes she's like talking to me about my hard days, and I'm like, I don't want her to comfort me.
Mhm.
So well, obviously I have issues with my parents still, and so it's like I don't want it to be that way where like my relationships aren't genuine, or there's always like some type of like block in the way. And so I'm like, okay, all this coming from.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, after having said all that, do you have any inkling as to where you would want to start confronting the parent pain?
Hmm, maybe I guess like wherever I adopted the beliefs, like they're just not safe, or they're not parents. Like sometimes I see them like not as my parents. Like
Mhm.
I don't always respect them in that way. And that's
Mhm.
not true, but it's like, I don't know. So I think maybe figuring out like, well, where did I remove them from having the role of being a parent in my life? Like,
Mm.
and I kind of feel like, oh, I'm just taking care of myself. Like, and they like are proud of the fact that I can be self-sufficient, but I'm also like, well, that's because it's like I don't want to depend on them. And not because it's like kids that want to just like, oh, I want to be able to take care of myself. No, it's like I just don't want to depend on you guys like at all. Like
Ah.
not really a place of coming from a good place, I guess. So I'm like trying to figure out, I guess, like, well, where, like what happened or what situations happened to where I started to like adopt this mindset where I don't need them, and like I don't actually want them in this like closeness of my life.
Mhm. How would you answer that question if you just had to answer right now? It doesn't have to be right or wrong, but where do you think that started?
I, I think, I mean, I think just both of their responses going through the divorce, like how they showed up, I felt like wasn't for us, which
Mm.
it's, and I logically can step back and be like, I've never been through a divorce, but I know it's hard and it sucks. Like, and I get that they both had their own things they had to process and work through, but then feeling very much like we had to do it by ourselves.
Mm.
Because I remember like the week to week, like my mom would be gone most of the week. We were supposed to be with her.
Mm.
And like we'd have to worry about if she paid the water bill or something, and I have to text her because it's like, oh,
Yeah.
this or this is like that. Because she just was, I know she was having a hard time. Like she was out with friends or like dating some guy. Like, so she was, and we felt very much like that house was the house we could do anything we wanted because there wasn't a parent there. And
Mm.
also was very much like all of these things changed. Like he started, like he introduced us to his now my stepmom like super quickly, and like having to transition into like living with her and her kids. And like I remember she has a daughter, and I remember like her being on my dad's lap and being like just feeling like that she took my space. And then I was like, well, I don't want that space anymore anyways. And then just being angry every time I was there, and like always being outside because it's like I didn't want to be inside the house.
Mm.
So like just the way that the situations were going from house to house like is where that probably started, because it was like, well, we had to like make sure we looked after each other, like our siblings, and then also like ourselves.
Yeah. That makes a ton of sense. How old were you?
I always forget the age, but I was in 6th grade, and then that's like when everything started and going into 7th.
Yeah. So like 11, 12, 13. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man. Have you ever like sat with her yourself at that age and just let her talk? Just, and what I mean by that is not like weird. I mean like to let all those feelings and all those thoughts actually come up, like whether that's I'm alone or my parents aren't real parents or I hate them or whatever it is. Like have you ever been able to sit in that and just like let it all come up?
Mm. Not necessarily. I don't think like as much as I could have. Like I think I've had pieces of it come out,
Sure.
but
Yeah.
like I said, I had this I guess encounter. Like I'm standing with her, and I feel like she just doesn't want to say anything,
Yeah.
and so I don't know. But then I had another encounter with her where like the reason I started crying so much that day was like talking through it was like because it like I started thinking me roller like as a little girl, like being in the front yard rollerblading and like how freeing that felt. And like I just started bawling because like I've been really into that the last like year and a half. Like that's been my only thing that's been my escape with COVID and working with that. And I was just like, and I'm like, I don't know why that's like the only thing that makes me feel like
Mhm.
so like happy and like released. Like and then I thought about my little girl like skating outside my mom's house and like everything else didn't matter. And I just started bawling. Like I was just like, I don't know why that just it got to me so much. But so
Yeah.
I think I could be better at like making a space to sit with her. But
Well, and it's it's not that you've done anything wrong and you have to do it better, but if diving into this feels like the next part of your season, it might be helpful to think about this as grieving and letting that little girl grieve what she didn't get, letting her say it out loud, like I really wanted parents who were together, or I really wanted parents who were around, or I really wanted parents who actually thought about me, whatever it is. um and in that grieving, like I don't know why, take this or leave this, but I keep hearing like structure, and I don't know if you like structure or you don't like structure, but um like I wonder what it would look like to bring a space each day to yourself where you could let that little girl grieve for 5-10 minutes, but just something consistent so that she knows you're actually showing up for her. And I wonder if that will help her actually feel safe enough to let that stuff come up.
yeah, I think the consistency part matters.
What'd you say?
I said I think that consistency part matters. Like I could see where that matters because it's even for myself, like me present self. Like sometimes I feel like I'm like I don't know if I trust myself, but it's like, well, are you showing up for yourself? Like you should, not like should, but like in the areas where it's like you're showing yourself that you trust yourself or
Mm,
you're good, like you're doing what's helping you, like what's going to be best for you. So that makes sense. Hmm. Thank you.
yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing. I feel really sad and angry for that little girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's amazing that you want to look at that stuff. I think it's amazing that you're willing and you're wanting to pay attention to it.
Yeah.
Mm. Is there anything else that your heart wanted to be known in today?
Yeah. No, I don't know. Maybe I guess just like knowing that like this is the stuff that matters. Because like I kind of relate it to like how the last girl was talking, how someone told her like there's like self-pity, or just like it's like almost like her pain like is dramatized. It's like, okay, like this, I know this, the hard work matters, but there's so many people around me who just don't care about it, or like it's almost like that living like that ignorant bliss, and it's like, oh, I think I'm fine, like, and then I'm like, I just making problems that I don't need to have. So it's like, okay, no, I know this stuff is gonna matter, and like knowing like there's a purpose for this space, and like there's there is gonna be fruit that comes from this, and like it's worth taking the time to do the work. And even if for a season not having certain people around who don't get it, like to protect that space. Yeah,
that's profound. And I'm over here thinking about how like those lines of like, am I dramatizing my pain, or like you said, am I creating problems, like what's real, like there's nuance in all of this, because it's happening inside of us. And so like I think this really relates to what you shared about self-trust too, is like some things we just need to like dive into to figure out where those lines are, and to build that trust with ourselves so that we can differentiate down the road, like oh, I am dramatizing this a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna let myself do that today because I'm PMSing or because of something, whatever. But like, okay, I'm gonna let myself go there today. And other times where you're like, you know what? I feel sad about this, but I'm actually gonna like acknowledge it, and I'm actually gonna move on with my day. I'm gonna address this later when I have time to do it, So there's tons of nuance. And I think that the process of like being very aware of every shift in your heart is super important, so that as you move forward in life, where those lines are. Does that make sense?
yeah,
And
yeah.
like I'm on that, like we're all on that journey. I'm on that journey too. Or otherwise I would have packaged it in a pill by now, right? And sold it, because it's like, it's just so, it's highly individual, and we can come alongside each other and like ask questions and prompt and support. But like you get to be like, this is your jurisdiction, right? Like your life, it's you, and it's supposed to be a gift. And I know there are times in life where it hasn't felt like a gift. It's felt like a big responsibility, and we'd rather check out. Like that's real. But like the more you show up for yourself, the more you want to steward this, not from a place of like I have to or I should, but like, oh, I really like this space I'm in. I want to steward it so that I can find this space easier next time a big emotion comes up.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So you're doing it.
Thanks.
Yeah. Absolutely. Keep us posted if you want. Okay.
Very well. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for sharing. All right. Okay. Next, we are going to go to Sam. Sam, are you here?
I'm here.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. What's on your heart today?
Well, I moved on to week 5, but I sort of stuck in week 4 for like the validation and attunement for like 2 weeks. And I honestly didn't think like that was sort of like really an issue for me at all. But I have a lot of family drama. And so like last year, my mom didn't speak to me for almost a year. We just recently started like talking again. And now this year, my aunt's not speaking to me. And it's a lot of grief over my grandmother's passing last year. And we're not a very communicative family, and we're not a very affectionate family. We're like a love ya, like as you walk out the door type of love you, mean it type of thing. So I guess my question is, how do I attune and validate, but still have boundaries. Like when the text messages or phone calls or whatever it is come in with like negative comments, because that's the way they grieve. They like to bash everyone else. Like, I'm not a good daughter. I'm a horrible person. I'm embarrassing. I'm a hypocrite. Like all these things, both of them. So like when those things come in, I just sort of like run away from it. Like I don't respond. I don't, I just sort of, I get silent. Like I don't respond to it. I sort of go back to that kindergarten self. Like if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of it is like they're grieving and like they don't know how, and which, whatever. So anyway, I guess I keep going back to that question. Like even though I moved on, like I keep going back because I'm like, I don't know, like, should have I responded, or is that my way of like saying, hey, like I'm not going to accept those comments type of thing? Like I don't really know what to do in that scenario.
Yeah.
Like, should have I validated them? But then I think like, well, they're not going to accept it. Like they're going to come back with more negative, more criticism type things. They're not going to hear me. So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, this is really, really important and insightful that you brought it up. And did you have something else to say?
No, I'm just really nervous.
Okay. You're doing great. You're doing great. Thanks for being here. Yeah, I have two things that are coming to mind. One of them is how does it feel? How do you feel in your relationship with yourself in terms of attuning to you and validating you?
Something I'm working on.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm good at it with like my friends and stuff, because like a lot of the times I just don't know what to say. So I'm like, yeah, I'm really sorry. But then like for myself, like I guess it's something that I've learned in this program. Like I have to do for myself too. I can't just do it for others. So, but taking, I guess it goes back to sort of like taking care of myself is sort of hard because I've always taken care of everyone else first.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I say that because I think attuning to ourselves and validating ourselves usually paves the way for knowing how to do it with other people. And I hear this like part of your question that's like, how do I do this from a genuine place? Like not just a textbook, like, okay, I did it. But how do I do this and still get to be me?
Yeah.
Like go ahead.
Well, I think me, as well as the entire family, is like in this change season, which, me and my older cousin have sort of been on that road. Like we both left out of state. Like we don't come home very often. I come home about once every 3 to 6 months because I travel for a living. So, and then she comes home like maybe once a year. So like they're sort of processing those. Then we just lost the rock of the family. So like everyone's sort of changing and like, but I've always been the person, like I always call it a voluntold. They always voluntold me what to do. So like they lost that. And but I don't like for people to not like me.
Yeah.
So like I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, I don't care. Yeah, whatever. Like, I say yes way too often. But so going back, I think it's I don't remember what I was gonna say. I knew what I was gonna say. So now I think it's like like I'm sort of setting these boundaries as like, I'm not gonna listen to you talk like that. Like I'm not going to, if that's how you feel, then you need to keep it to yourself or tell someone else, because like telling me is not going to get you anywhere. Really all you're doing is hurting my feelings and probably yours too in the long run. So like I'm trying to set these boundaries, but like they just keep coming.
Yeah.
They're very negative, hurtful people.
Mm.
That's why I travel. Because I escape it, like I run away from it.
Yeah. Yeah. So may I have your permission to set your mom and your aunt on the shelf
Yeah.
and just ask like what age is coming up for you?
8. That's
8.
when the show started.
Yeah.
They both got divorced. I had a major hip surgery. So I didn't walk. So like I really needed them,
Yeah, you did.
but I didn't really have them.
Is
I
that
had
how?
them away
Yeah.
because they didn't have a choice
Right.
but to carry me or walk with me or whatever, but I didn't have them emotionally.
Is that how it feels right now that you have them but you don't have them? Or you
How it
need?
felt like 20 years.
Yeah. 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 May I walk you through an encounter on that?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm not good at them, but I'll try.
What'd you say?
I'm not very good at them, but I'll try.
That's okay. Not about being good at them.
I've been trying on my own very far.
No worries. We don't have to have anything happen today. I think it's just helpful for our hearts to feel sometimes when we're imagining. Yeah. Yeah. Does it feel okay to picture 8-year-old Sam just after hip surgery?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead and picture her. And I just want you to see her, and I want you to attune to her. Nobody else. I want you to attune to her, and I just want you to get a sense for what she's thinking and what she's feeling. And when you get a sense for that, just let me know.
I mean, I think I've been going back to that little 8-year-old girl a lot lately because I feel like that's where everything started. And so I sort of feel like, she's scared, lonely, sad because everyone else is around her talking, and making comments because I didn't walk for 3 years. So I was quite large. And and so comments about my size, about being a burden in a sense of, well, I have to do this for her, I have to do that for her.
Mm.
I think sometimes it's things parents don't realize their kids hear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want you to see her and see her. You see her laying in her bed. Is that where she is?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're right. She's not immune to those comments. She's aware. She's smart. She's picking it up. And I want to invite you to walk in that room in your imagination, grown up you, to walk in that room. And I want you to sit on the edge of her bed with her. And I just want you to hold her hand for a moment. You don't have to know what to do next. Just hold her hand. Let her know physically that you're with her. Yeah. 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 Just let yourself have that for a moment, okay? Just be with her. And I just want you to whisper to her, I'm so sorry. Yeah. How do you feel about her when you see her laying in that bed?
Just sort of pitiful. Because, and it's also the time like I sort of got independent because I was just like, give me my crutches, I'll do it myself.
Yeah.
But she just wanted people around.
Yeah. Is there someone in your life from any time, could be present, somebody who feels really safe and really fun and really loving? Do you have somebody like that comes to mind?
Yeah.
I'd love for you to invite that person into that room and just let yourself see that in your imagination. Who is that safe, fun, loving person?
A family friend of ours.
Yeah. What's their name?
Carla.
Yeah. So Carla's going to come in the room. Is she a big personality?
Huge.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I was sensing. So I just want you to see her like bust through the door.
Yeah.
She's bringing the party.
Yeah.
Yeah. Carla gets to be there with you. Is there anybody else you want in that room?
Yeah.
Okay. What is Carla doing for little Sam?
Making her laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How are you doing on the inside?
I'm good. Not as nervous.
Good. I think your question is a beautiful one. How do I attune and validate people that feel challenging in my life right now? I think it's a really good question. I'd love for you to aim that question towards yourself. Yeah. Sometimes we are the final frontiers in our lives, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If we can learn to love ourselves, we have a grid for what it looks like to give love to others. And I'm not saying that's hard and fast, that's how it works all the time. I just know that there's something about us knowing that we're loved first that allows us to love, right? We love because He first loved us.
Yeah.
Do you have any other thoughts you wanted to share?
No.
Okay. You're doing really good. I like little Sam. She's fun. She's worth being with. Yeah. Okay. Keep us posted. And if it's helpful, and it sounds like you've already been doing this, but climbing back into those encounters, that one you just did, climbing back into it, seeing where Jesus is in that room, what He's doing, could be helpful for your heart.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing. Yeah. Appreciate it. Right. Franny. Hello, hello. Are you still on?
Yeah, I'm still on.
Hello. Good to see you.
Yeah.
Hi. What's going on?
Felt like a lot of different stuff, like overwhelming kind of, but
Okay. Yeah.
I think I'm just like, I'm trying to figure out how to navigate in like an adult world right now, like when there's all these like, yeah, I guess you feel like a little kid kind of. So like right now I came back home for a little bit because there's a job in California I was going to do and it didn't work, or as of now we didn't have the permit, so we couldn't do it. And my parents are just really like, I don't know, I don't understand. Like they basically like, I'm not allowed to live there or be there even for like a little bit. And I'm just like, I don't know where to go next or what to do fast enough. Like, because I'm not sure if that work is going to go through or not, or if I have to find something else. It's just stirring up a lot of deep stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's like, it's present day things, but it's like triggering a lot of backtrack or whatever.
Yeah.
I just don't like, yeah, I don't really know how to handle it. And I know like God makes a way, but like it's just so hard. Like, and I'm dating right now, which is super cool, but I think it's part of the reason why like they're just basically kicking me out. Like I didn't even, they know I was hanging out, but they don't even know that we're officially dating. But like, I don't know. There's just a lot of, I don't know what creates it, but you know, that whole shunning thing that they do like in Amish and stuff, like when you leave, like my parents aren't Amish anymore, but I feel like they literally like, I think if you break the unspoken family rules or whatever, even basically by dating or just living your life, like it's like the same thing. They just cut you out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like going from like being super responsible, like all these years, like my mom was always, she was just constantly sick and needed help with the housework and stuff, you know, and then like from that to like, was it 2 years ago or so when I did move out and was working for this company that I'm working for now, like ever since then I can't live at home basically because it's like I don't know why, if it threatens them or, but I think like I don't want to be living there. I just want to go do my own thing, but I feel so handicapped somehow, like to do my own thing somehow. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of, I don't know what's all going on.
Yeah.
A lot of,
Yeah. No, that's fair. Thanks for being willing to just share it and not know exactly. Yeah. That's really fair. Yeah. If you were to close your eyes and see the pain that's coming up inside of you, what does it look like?
I'm not sure like how to name it. It just feels so overwhelming. I feel like I just kind of keep pushing it down. Like I don't know how to go there.
Mm-hmm. And where is it in your body?
It feels like in the most I would know is like in my gut or whatever. Like just
Yeah. Yeah, it's legit. So it's in your gut. Go ahead and put your hand on your gut. And just as you try and visualize that pain again, just let me know if there's a certain color to it.
not sure. I feel like it's so hard to go there. Like I feel like I just like stuff it quick. If it's anything, it's probably red. I don't know.
Yeah, good. There's not a wrong answer to this. Yeah. Okay. Just want you to put your hand on your gut and close your eyes and see the red pain. I want you to take a deep breath. And when you exhale, I want you to focus all your breath on that pain. Go ahead and do it again. A couple more times. Just take a deep breath in. I want you to breathe all that breath, all that air into the pain in your gut. Yeah, do it one more time. Yeah. Just keep your eyes closed, and I want you to put your other hand on your heart. Yeah. I just want you to see the age of you that's coming up. Just let me know when you see her.
I do.
Yeah. About how old do you think she is?
I think she was 9.
Yeah. 9. So in your imagination, I just want you to walk up to her and take her hand. And I just want you to whisper to her, I'm coming with you. I just want you to see yourself walking with her. And you're just going to focus on her. She's trying to say something to you, but she's 9. So she doesn't have a ton of words. She's not a full grown up yet. I just want you to listen for what she's trying to communicate through this pain.
I think she was saying that like she thought she knew how life was, and then it's not like after all, I guess.
Yeah. What is she feeling as a result of that?
I think just devastation, and that she doesn't know what anything is after all.
Yeah. So if you were to encounter a 9-year-old who felt devastated and scared about life and how it functions, how would you treat her?
I would just tell her that the good things are true and like that other stuff isn't.
Mm-hmm. So I want you to see yourself getting on your knees in front of 9-year-old Franny. Just hold her hands and just communicate that to her. Does it feel? Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. No. I was
Does
just
it,
gonna say I feel like the adult me almost doesn't know enough like it's what the truth is, but yeah, I think I still do.
Yeah. I was just thinking, oh, do we want to invite Jesus in here to show what reality is?
Yeah.
So how does Jesus enter that scene?
All I can see is that he comes up there and he just kind of holds her, like come down on his knees and like hugs her.
Is she scared?
Yeah.
It makes sense for present day you who's trying to be a grown up. And yet there's this part that's really scared. So we don't beat her up, we hold her. Yeah. So just watch she and Jesus. And don't be surprised if they're communicating without words. Okay. So just let me know any senses or impressions that you get.
stroking her hair, and I think saying that it's going to be okay, like the big, or like, and then like taking your hand and like, let's go live,
Let's go live.
like live, you know.
Love that. And then what happens next?
They go outside to do something, but I'm not sure what, if they went to get the pony or swing. I don't know.
Cool. Which one do you want to see?
The pony.
Yeah. That sounds fun, especially for a 9-year-old. Yeah. Do you have any questions for Jesus that you want to ask him?
I'm not sure.
That's okay. You don't have to have anything. Are they with the pony?
Yeah.
What's happening?
She's just riding him around in the meadow. I'm not sure what he's doing.
I want you to take a snapshot of this scene. Let your heart make a record of it so that you can come back into it. You can remember it. Come back and deepen it. And I want you to keep your eyes closed, and I want you to just keep breathing into your heart this time. Take a deep breath and then breathe that air into your heart space. And do that 5 times.
Is it frozen?
I hear you. There.
Yeah, I'm there now. I think it was frozen.
How are you doing on the inside?
Good. I think it kind of, like in that moment, I'm like, there's a little bit of me like, feels like I don't even want that. Like the little girl doesn't even want that. But I think that makes sense why like now, like with some of this stuff, like why you lose desire for everything you thought you wanted or whatever. Like I felt like, yeah, like to come back into that, where I think probably the place where that pain is or whatever, where you actually think you don't want what you don't want. I'm not sure what it like. Yeah, I guess the things that you desire or to be who you want to be or something. I'm not sure exactly how to explain it, but like I just know like the last while, like when dad goes off at me like that or whatever, mom's involved too, but like where you just, I don't feel like doing anything anymore. Like I don't feel like dating or anything. Like I just, you know what I mean? Like you can't even think of anything you want to do, but like you have to do something right now. And it's just like, yeah, like, and when I was there, I was like, yeah, I can kind of tell like there's part of me that kind of wants it, you know, like when she's riding a pony around the meadow, but there's also part that's kind of like that. Or yeah.
Like watchful, like kind of wary.
Kind of, and like not that great after all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really insightful. Yeah, this is not that great after all. Wow.
Because I was very, very, very like, when I was younger, like horses were like, yeah. And it was something that we could do, I guess, but I had other interests too, like sports were really big and stuff. But then, like, dad did buy me a pony, like, but then it was still like this, it's just not a freedom for it. And eventually, like, you just kind of, he still never left me out of space to do the horses and like enjoy it. Like, it's like this give and take all the time or whatever. And so like eventually you just kind of, that it just kind of dies in you. You know what I mean? Like you let go of it. And I feel like different things that you love to do. And so like now I'm like, I don't even know what I want to do. Like I know like I do want things, but like, or have passions and hobbies and everything, but like at the same time, like you lose all desire.
Yeah. As you hear yourself say that and understand that that's what's happening inside, where you kind of cut off desire in order to survive, it sounds like.
Mm.
What are your thoughts about yourself as you realize that's what's happening?
Like in the here and now, or like, or more like what thoughts do you believe about yourself? Like, how did you mean?
When you say that oh, like I can see how I've maybe cut off my desires because there's too much take and there's not enough freedom in it. What emotion comes up with that? Is it just a thought or is it accompanied by an emotion?
Well, I think yeah, it's accompanied by an emotion. I think like some kind of, I don't know if it's self-hatred or shame or something that you're not, somehow something about yourself that makes you lose desire for it. Like it's not for me, but like, yep, self-hatred? I don't know. I'm not sure. Or like sadness.
Mm.
I like a lot of sadness, I think.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of, I don't know if it's grief or like a loss, like in my young life, that even though like my parents were still there and everything, like the loss of a life that you thought would be, or something, or something good, or like that wasn't the truth after all. And so like I felt like a while already, like, you know, kind of live life here now, like two different, very different things, like good, like life is good and like for the living and all the things that you love and stuff. And then over here, like it's like a seesaw, like over here it's just like, I don't know what the bad is, just like if it's such so much shame and self worthlessness, or I'm not sure what the reason for like the, like, you know what I mean, like not after all, and just like, yeah.
So life is for the living, or life is for, what's the other side?
Just death. Death is the word that came to mind. I'm not sure, but I don't know the what, like the, it's like two very different realities. I don't know, like not sure. I don't know. All I know is like when I'm in that place, like everything is nothing, or like nothing's great. Nothing is like, I don't know how the words are.
This feels really important, and it's okay that not all the words are coming, because it does sound like a question that the child in you is asking.
It has this thing as when I had a little cousin that I babysat a lot. Like I was probably 8 when he passed away. Like my aunt found him in his crib. Like it was, I don't know if it was crib death, but it was like, they actually didn't really know what was the cause of his death, but he was like 8 months old. And I was like very much took care of him, like was his babysitter. And I remember after that, like one of the people like we walked to school with, like she was like all excited because she had like a niece or a nephew. And I remember like as a kid just feeling like, what's so great about people having babies? Like I just didn't get it, why that's even great. And I like later on I realized that's grief or something probably that would have get that feeling. And it feels like that thing, kind of the same idea, like, but it's something that it's just not for you. And I don't know why it's not for you. I guess you're just not, I don't know what the reason is that it's not for you.
Is it like I'm afraid I can't have what I want, or I'm afraid things can't actually go well?
I think it's something to do with, your identity or your worth. Like it's, I don't know if it's because you're bad, maybe, or you just don't deserve it. But I think it still stems back to like because of you somehow, like because of me myself somehow is why you can't have the things in life, or why it's not for you.
Mm-hmm. Is there any part, like how does your 8-year-old self feel about your cousin's death? What does she feel about that?
I think there's just an element to where like somehow it's your fault, or like guilt or something, or I don't know. I have this feeling more and more last while that there is something in that, even that experience with like I want my own kids, but there's something that kind of repulses me like about kids. Like I'm really good with kids, but in the same time I'm just kind of like you know what I mean, like, and so I don't know if it's some, I know with my mom's people, they're really quick to be like my aunt, even like I don't know if she kind of gave off of a message of like to kind of blame quickly, I think, even though like I had nothing to do with the death, but still kind of like, because I don't know.
You did feel blamed?
I don't remember that I did. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's just like a lot. It's these feelings that, or things that it's hard. Like I'm not sure. I don't have names. I don't have names for these places. Like I just kind of know the feelings, but like
Yeah. I think I said This feels really important, and it actually makes sense to me that she wouldn't have a lot of words for it. So I think you're doing awesome. This feels like deep stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Almost like your little girl made some conclusions about life at that
Yeah.
age. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's like, there's just this like two realities in life that like are so different and you don't know which is true. Well, like more, I guess, probably like you hope the good is true and you've tasted that, but in the same time, this will probably be the ultimate truth that not for you. And being a part of an occult like that, where like everybody owns everybody, if there's anything that's like you know, if anybody shoots higher or anything, it's just like, oh, this cut down. So like both of my parents, you know, they wanted to live their lives well or whatever and stuff, but all around, and I think even as a young kid, there's just like they give into the pressure, they give into where they know they have to, and then there's also all the society out around that keeps telling you, no, you're not this, no, you're not this, you know, because like I don't know, like I just know like I've for long had this question, like, why doesn't anybody come out of that and like live life in a somewhere like in a sane place or something, like, you know, with politics or sports or anything, like we'll do some things and we do stuff very high level, but we never go where like it just kind of stays within a certain box, even if we're not a part of that anymore. And I just there was this one interview. Is that frozen? Okay, it's good now. That Sammy and Spencer had on YouTube, where like they were having an interview with somebody else, and he was talking about conditional love, and I was like, that is so like kind of the root of like a system like this, because like you can do what it takes, and they'll let you live your life, but like you step outside of the boundaries, outside the box or whatever, then it's like everything's cut off. And I don't know if there's just some places that it really makes it feel like it's your fault.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Those are just like I see and how like that system works, but
Yeah.
But I still always feel like it stems back to like to your childhood or whatever, because that's where you get stuff, I guess.
Mm. So those thoughts of life can be good, but that's probably not for you. How is that manifesting right now? Like you mentioned parents, job stuff, and dating stuff. How is that actually looking in each of those situations, that belief?
You mean like where that would be playing out, or like yeah, I'm not sure. Well, like yeah, it's probably part of like like the job, the money, having money, like I like to, and things like probably don't believe it's for me, and probably not the dating either. Like even just through doing this program, I think that it's even possible for me to do it. Like so many times, like I just feel like running, or I feel like grossed out, or like probably insecure about myself or whatever. And then yeah.
Franny, what feels scary about freedom?
There's such a price tag, I guess.
Mm.
Probably a belief that if you have that, it'll cost everything, or like, or when things are good, that's when you get hit at.
What happened in your body when you said that? When things are good, that's when you get hit at.
I'm not sure. Because then I think the things that you thought were good and the things that you thought you wanted to do, like, then you're not sure anymore.
Mm-hmm. It pokes at your value system, huh? What do
Yeah.
I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then when that gets poked at, then I think that's kind of where you lose your equilibrium, you lose like where you're at, you lose your desires almost for what you thought you wanted.
Yep. Makes sense. You're not crazy. This makes a lot of sense. You're not crazy. I'm actually so proud of you and think your processing is amazing. Yeah. So when things aren't good, that's when you get hit.
When things are good.
Sorry, when things are good. That's what I wrote down, but I didn't read it right.
Yeah.
When things are good, that's when you get hit. Yeah. That's a
Yeah.
major belief system. Yeah.
Yeah.
You've had a lot of help with that belief system. And I'm not here to tell you that's wrong or that's right or you should get rid of that. But I think it's really interesting to look at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And taking stock of how it's benefited you and how it's harmed you, both things.
Yeah. I guess it seems like often for me, I'm like, I kind of know the things in my head sometimes, but then I'm like, I think probably like this, like encountering, like if you can go back to where it started, like that's usually what probably the biggest thing to help break it up or whatever, because like I can kind of know it in my head and I don't know how to it makes a difference. Like else, like I'd still be living that life, if you wouldn't be working on things, but I don't know. I guess it's a process and it doesn't happen all one day. Or I don't know, like how you shift it. How do you shift it? Like,
Well, I just want to point out it's that today, just you being willing to share, that's a huge shift. So don't belittle that. How does your connection with God feel these days? Does it feel safe, easy? Does it feel scary? How does it feel?
It was like I was in a pretty good, I mean, I'm generally, for me, like the last couple months have been like very much like it's just kind of a roller coaster, but I still felt like you just see God's hand in things. But then I started doubting that, like when Dad was going off at me about like, it's not really working out to work for this company. Maybe you should consider something else and blah, blah, blah. Maybe it's not from God and all that stuff. And he's like, you don't want to go where we're going. And like, he has all these reasons for like, I don't even know what I did. And he's just so mad at me. Like he's taking out his own crap on me. I know that in my head, but like, it just triggers these little places. And then I get very disconnected from God. Like, I don't really trust God. And I'm afraid he's going to say the same things. And like, yeah. So like in these last couple days and like, yeah, I get pretty disconnected in that.
Yeah, that's so real. Thanks for being honest about that. Does Jesus feel accessible to you?
It kind of comes and goes. He does sometimes. He's the least, well, no, God is the easiest, but yeah, he does sometimes. He's not as easy, but like, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm really curious about if you took this question to him every day. And I'm not saying you have to sit and meditate for 3 hours on it. I'm just saying at the beginning of your day, say, when things are good, that's when you get hit. And just hold it before him. Is this true? Is this not true?
Yeah.
How has this benefited me? Just like a consistent place for your heart to acknowledge, I'm looking at this and it's open for God to interpret for me if this is true or not.
Yeah, that's really good. Or actually, I was gonna write it down, but I can watch this later. Yeah, that's good. I think that would be probably a good, very it's got a practical thing or whatever. Like the consistency of that to start working on, like to shift that kind of belief.
Because I think that there's when we talk about shifting belief systems, there's definitely our engagement, like there's definitely our participation in that, but you're not alone to shift it because, well, what are you going to shift it to? You want to shift it to your next best idea, or you want to shift it to God's truth, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Letting yourself be dependent there and just be like, I don't know. This is what it's been for however many years in my life. Like, here it is. And just openly say, I don't know. I don't know about this. Would
Yeah,
you poke out?
yeah, I really like that. Yeah, I love that.
This is super valuable. Your process is super valuable.
Yeah. Thanks so much. And like that place, like where I was at with that 9-year-old, like I've kind of known of that for a while, but like I just felt like impossible to go there. And it was just like, yeah, thank you so much. Like,
You're welcome. Thanks for sharing. Thanks
Yeah.
for sharing. And if you get into that space again where you're like, I'm just having a lot of thoughts and feelings, to help yourself move through that, we just identified where it was in your body, what it looked like, and then we breathed into it. And that seemed to allow you to make the shift where you could be present with it instead of like, I remember you saying like, I want to get out, like, which is so real. Like, I need
Like
help doing.
Yeah, because I tried to like go there before and like
Yeah.
it's just so pain, like I just couldn't do it. Like there was nothing like I should, yeah, kind of like that. And so this was really, 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 really good.
Good. I'm glad that was helpful. Yeah. And if you do that for yourself, that's great. Or if you like even write it down and share it with a trusted friend, like, hey, I may call you sometime and ask you to ask me where the pain is, what it looks like, and remind me to breathe through it. Like that can be a really cool thing too. Because sometimes in those moments it's like, oh, I need help, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You're doing good. You really are. This matters. This matters. It's not without purpose. Proud of you for moving through it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll see you around, okay?
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
All right. All right, guys. We are going to wrap up. If there was something that was really important to your heart that you pulled out from what you experienced today, just let me know. It looks like you guys are connecting a lot in the chat, which is so fun. Yeah, that's awesome. And just a reminder too that we are going to keep the room open afterwards for an hour, just for you guys to connect, keep processing, talking stuff out that you thought of in this session. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and do that. If you guys, I know I say this every once in a while, but if there's something that you've encountered in the program so far that has really helped you, really benefited you, and you feel like it's this like river coming up inside of you and you're like, I just want to share this, just remember we have a business page and you can write reviews there if you want. No pressure to do that, but if you feel that overwhelming sense of like, I'm so grateful for this, or this was so helpful for me, just remember that's something we can get you in touch with if you want. Okay. All right. Sherry, I'm glad that it was a good reminder for your heart. Yeah. And precious, a reminder to change belief systems to God.